This week on Tech Tip Tuesday, we're going to go over how to clean out a Pondless waterfalls. This Pondless waterfalls we put in about 6 or 7 years ago. It's got a lot of pine needles, so we're going to go ahead and clean this out for you, and I'll show you the steps we take to do it. So we're going to get started by uncovering our Pondless vault. The reason we want to uncover that Pondless vault is I want to get to that vault. I want to drain all the water out of it, which will make it easier to clean all the debris and leaves out of the Pondless pit here. So let me get that uncovered, and then we'll get a pump in there and get it draining. We're going to just set the cover and the rocks off to the side. It'll make it easy when this is back up and running to cover that back up. So I've got the pump in and draining. Next thing I'm going to want to do is start at the top of the waterfalls where there's no water right now, and we can start getting all the leaves and debris out of that and work our way down as this is draining. So I've got this Pondless pit pumping. I got the clean out pump actually in our Pondless vault. And this is all the debris and leaves and pine needles that I was talking about earlier. The water's drained down now, so it's much easier to see, and I'll be able to scoop that stuff out of there easy enough. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to show you what you have to do on a pondless or a pond in a stream when you get a ton of pine needles in it. You do not want to clog this Pondless pit up, so I want to show you how we go ahead and clean that out. So this is our Pondless vault that I've been talking about. I've got it drained down pretty well. I can see pine needles and everything down in there. So what I'm going to do next is go ahead and shop vac this out, get all the debris and everything out of there. We do not want any of that stuff getting into the pump, clogging the pump. There's nothing worse than having beautiful Pondless waterfalls and not being able to use it because the pump's clogged. So I have shop vac that all down there. There's no more needles or debris or anything down in there. So I know that I can install my pump now. But first thing I'm going to want to do is all this little debris, these pine needles and everything, is a problem in a Pondless waterfall if you do not clean them out of the pit. What'll happen is all this little stuff, these leaves and these pine needles, will plug up that gravel, and the water will not be able to get through that gravel, and it will pool up, and the pump will start sucking air because the water can't get down in there fast enough. So let me go ahead and show you how we clean that up as well. Before I start cleaning this pit, I want to start at the top of the Pondless waterfalls and work my way down, rinsing any extra small debris that I couldn't pick out by hand, and get that all worked down to the bottom. So I've got a garden hose from the house. I'm going to go ahead and start rinsing it down. What I'm going to want to do now is make sure we get all them pine needles and all that small debris out. It's important because, like I said earlier, if the water can't get through this gravel fast enough, it can't get to that Pondless pit where the pump is housed. So how I'm going to do that is by moving the gravel away. Working my way down to the bottom, and then I've got my garden hose, and I just want to rinse all that. Now you see how this water can't get through here? That gravel is plugged, so that water's going to have to run on top of this until it gets to the pit, and we want it to get through it. So I'm going to go ahead and move this gravel, and we'll get that water to drain. So I've got all this gravel rinsed. I moved it all into one area, and then it scooped it up and just kept working at it. It's so important to get them pine needles out of this pit. I can't stress enough. There's sometimes you might even have to take the gravel out, physically out, and rinse it in a wheelbarrow and put it back. That wasn't the case today, but that could happen. What I'm going to do next is go ahead and install our pump. And what you're going to want to do is check that pump. Make sure the pump is working well before you put it in, because there's nothing worse than getting it in there, getting it installed, and plugging it in and find out it's not working. Let me go ahead and grab the pump and we'll get that installed. So I have the pump here. Here's the check valve. You want to make sure that check valve's working. An easy way to tell, if you shake it back a little, or shake it back and forth a little, there's a flapper in there, you'll hear it moving. If it's clanking around in there, we know we need to replace that check valve because that flapper is broke loose in there. This one seems to be working well. I'm going to go ahead and install the check valve on the pump. It is on there. I have tested this already. I know this pump is going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and install it. So I've got our pump and check valve. I'm going to slide it in on the side. And then slide it into our plumbing pipe. And then we've got our big wing nut that'll tighten down on there. All right, so the pump is installed. I'm going to want to get this lead fished out of here. On these Pondless vaults, there's a cutout for where the power wire goes in and out. So I have that there. We're going to run it out of the pond. And then we'll get this Pondless vault covered back up and start filling. We've got that pit all cleaned up. We've got that Pondless vault covered. Now is a great time to go ahead and check the lights. We're going to make sure all the lights work. On this Pondless Waterfalls, we have a 60-watt transformer, which has a photo cell in it, which more or less will turn these lights on when it gets dark out. It's light out right now, so I have to fool that photo sensor to turn on. And how I do that is by putting a piece of electrical tape over that photo cell, which will make it think that it's dark out and will allow me to check the lights. So all our lights are working. We've got one here, we've got one over here, and then one down here as well. And they all seem to be working good. Our next step is going to be to go ahead, get this pond filled, and we'll plug everything in. So I've got a good amount of water in this pondless pit. It's enough to start the pump. I've got everything cleaned out real well. Let me go ahead and plug in that pump. We'll get it running and let you take a look at it. So I've got this Pondless Waterfalls up and running and cleaned out. Only one thing left to do. Enjoy it for the summer. Tune in every Tuesday for another Tech Tip Tuesday. If this is the kind of thing you like, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. And as always, enjoy your family.